Good morning.
Good morning, Coffee Moaners. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you are part of our community, hello. Hope you are very well.
Yeah.
How are you all feeling as the nation, it seems to be collapsing a little under the weight of the flu? And
is anyone else going through that process of virtually every single little scintilla of a feeling or a medical thing? You think, oh my God, am I about to keel over?
And we have this every single December, so there's nothing new. So we are going to be talking about the A&E crisis. We're going to be talking about the Trump national security strategy that threatens everybody, really.
Yeah, well, it certainly threatens Europe. It threatens the world. Have they cut us adrift? I mean, this, when you write it down, it's how you say national security strategy. Basically, Donald Trump has said, you're all fucked, you're not far right enough, you're not white enough, you've got too many immigrants. And we essentially, it feels like he's saying he wants regime change.
Yep.
Across Europe.
So we're going to be talking about that. And also Erika Kirk and the Handmaid's Tale. It's revving up there. It's revving up.
Now, Erika Kirk, of course, is the widow of Charlie Kirk, who was the far-right MAGA-style influencer, commentator, activist, you could say. What's their organization? Talking Point? No.
Yes, Talking Point USA.
Talking Point USA. And so she's obviously become the new leader or the new head of that organization. But
she's got quite a bit to say about women that work.
Yeah.
And about women not having enough babies.
And Donna Holland says, what a crock she is.
She really is.
Yeah.
But
morning, Reese.
Yeah. I think that we have to be a little bit wary of many things at the moment and stay awake to them.
Right. And Nadia's got
Margaret Atwood was on the radio a couple of days ago saying that the author of Handmaid's Tale saying, we've never been closer to what she's written.
That's interesting. Yeah. And look, Reese also draws our attention to this. This is great detail, Reese. Thank you. Do you know that Charlie Kirk's death is officially one of the most Googled searches of the year on Google?
Because there is still so many questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
So many questions.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, and of course, The Handmaid's Tale is that dystopian feminist classic text. I read it for O-level or A-level. It's brilliant. Turned into a series by HBO. Too intolerable, really, for you to watch, wasn't it? And they've spun it into so many series. And from what I hear, it's just become less and less effective the more and more series they've gone through, as is the way with so many things.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't watch it because I watched the first episode and it was so horrific. I had a nightmare, and then I haven't been able to watch it. And now we're almost going to be watching it in real life.
Right.
So maybe that was some sort of messaging to me.
Now, we've just found out today, it's kind of, we're getting all the end of year stats. Our second highest after Britain, the UK, or a section of audience or demographic was, apologies, I've had a very, which we're going to fill you in on, a very sort of emotionally weird night. So my language is a little bit all over the place.
It's got terrible headaches.
But 10% of our audience is from America. So obviously, you know, we're resonating for a number of Americans. And that's even though most of what we say isn't anti-American, but it's anti a certain brand of America, which is Trump and Trumpian. And I wanted to play you this clip just to get us going, because I think Trump always resonates. I mean, as someone said yesterday, is he the gift that keeps on giving, or is he the absolute horror story that keeps on bemusing, or something along those lines? Because everything that comes out of his mouth is petrifying. He asks a question of a what's it called, a rally, and
he's such a brilliant.
Do you remember that wonderful meme where he says, "Nobody does walls better than me. Nobody knows nuclear better than me."
I love the way he always says, "I've stopped 7 or 8 wars." Imagine not settling on a number of the wars.
No. But then he adds that subcategory of, I've also stopped 4 pre-wars, 6 anti-wars, 8 nearly wars.
Maybe we should have played the clip today on the guy about the Alzheimer's. Maybe we should play that clip today.
Well, here's a moment just to open our account this morning. Here we go.
Which is better, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Historically, when I've done polls, from people, I do my own polls. I go to a big arena. We have 20,000 people. I say, which you like, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? And I learned, I save millions of dollars. I don't have to do any polling, okay? Typically, Crooked Joe wins. I'm surprised. because to me, he's a sleepy son of a bitch, you know, who destroyed our country. If we didn't come along, and it's not me, it's all of us. If we didn't come along, this country was destroyed. I'll tell you, it would have been destroyed.
God, talk about ego.
Nobody does polls like me. No one does
I
polls.
do want to save myself millions of dollars. He literally stands and talks absolute nonsense.
But this is a guy
and
who
these
falls
crowds
asleep.
lap it up. And this is the guy who's nodding off all the time at the moment.
And did you notice, I'm just going to kill the audio. Did you notice just over his shoulder, there was Santa Claus in a green cap? Well, there he is, just sort of thinking, what the fuck am I doing?
We should have played that comedian again, you know, with the three soldiers.
Oh,
I
could watch him every day.
That has been shared so many times that he's so brilliant.
Well, let's start. We're starting with Trump because America have issued, and this happens with just for historical purposes, every presidency. So for the 4 years of the administration, issues what they call a national security strategy. It's a the best grab on it is, it's a mood board.
Yeah.
It's a mood board for American foreign policy around the world. And it doesn't necessarily speak to what they're literally going to do, but it gives you a strong indication of where their values sit, where their indications and feelings are, and where their intolerances might be.
And don't forget, whatever America does, everyone else gets the ricochet effect from it.
Absolutely.
But they've gone straight for us this time.
Yes. So White House, the headlines are, so what I've done to kind of make it a little bit more kind of classroom easy, I've distilled the 6 bullet point headlines of what really most publications and news outlets are kind of saying. These are the main parts of it. But White House, Europe will be unrecognizable. And I want your opinions on this. They say that Europe will be unrecognizable in 20 years or less. And what they mean by that is not literally unrecognizable in terms of buildings and but they're talking about skin color, they're talking about ethnicity, they're talking about immigration, they're talking about migration.
They're talking in white supremacy language.
Yeah. And these are the main points. Europe faces, this is the phrase that got me, civilizational erasure and could be unrecognizable in 20 years or less.
I mean, first of all, are those even words? Civilizational erasure.
I rarely hear the word civilizational.
Is it actually an allowed word? Or is it one of those ones you use in Scrabble to get extra points and fight your corner and say, is a word?
I think it would be
J.D. Vance says it.
I wonder if you could say civilizationalism. Erasure was a fantastic band.
Yeah, no, we know erasure, but civilizationalism.
So pure racism, says Tanya Bartlett.
Pure racism.
Civilizational erasure. And this is about, being critical of progressive governments in Europe allowing wild migration, their terms. I mean, in the same sort of process, in the same interview with Politico as well, he slagged off and attacked Sadiq Khan again. And
what is it with him and Sadiq Khan?
Well, Sadiq Khan says, I don't really understand why he's so obsessed
because why does
with
he
me.
hate me? He's taken up a lot of room in his head.
A lot of I love that, don't you?
Hasn't he got other things he's got to be focused
Why
on rather
Sadiq?
than our local mayor? It's a bit...
Anyway, so he really attacked Sadiq Khan, and I have to confess, Keir Starmer in no way, shape, or form stood up for the defence of Sadiq Khan.
Well, no, he did that day when they were having
No,
that. He
that
said
day.
he's actually a very good
But in
chap,
this
a friend
instance, he
of
hasn't.
mine.
It was all over no, Ian Dale was doing a whole hour last night saying that the actual statement from the 10 Downing Street was, we have a meaningful relationship with Trump and we have a meaningful relationship with Sadiq Khan. He's just such a nasty bully, isn't he? So anyway,
Really
so discuss. We'll run through them quickly and then we can just pick at the best bits. So we face civilizational erasure. Certain NATO members will become majority non-European within a few decades.
What does that mean?
It's another racist trope,
Right.
isn't it? Basically, countries are not going to be mainly populated by members of the country. This is such lunacy.
Well, as James O'Brien said on LBC, it's absolute gobbledygook.
Well, it's gobbledygook, but it's a
It's
little
scary.
Yeah, exactly. Scary gobbledygook. The next one is America will, look at this, shift away from the burden of the Middle East.
The burden of the Middle East that you caused.
Yeah. Seeing it, this is the most chilling bit, seeing it now as a source and destination of international investment.
Yes, as Simon Marks from LBC said, they're not literally saying Trump's Gaza Strip. Well, no, what was it? He called it Trump's
Riviera.
Riviera.
Yeah.
They're not literally calling it that in the document. But that's what they're talking about
Yeah,
there.
because
and his son-in-law's huge investment
Kushner.
in properties over there. So there we
Don't
go.
get me started on the Warner Brothers, the Kushner,
Takeover.
Ellison aggressive takeover.
Yeah.
Never ever did I think, just as a sidebar, never ever did I think I would say, and I might need to do a Popcorn Junkie special on this, that I am more invested in a streamer that is a direct threat potentially to the cinematic experience. I am more keen on Netflix getting hold of Warner Brothers than fucking Paramount, I tell you. We do not want Paramount. And all these stupid directors like James Cameron going, oh, we don't want a streamer. They're not even thinking about the politics. Anyway, so turning the Middle East into an economic prospect.
That's so scary.
In the Western Hemisphere, America should pursue a policy of enlist and expand, restoring American preeminence. Now, the unpacking of that, as listening to the rest of politics yesterday, is very much the idea of a return to. Do you remember in the 80s and 90s? I remember as a young sort of activist student saying things like, why are the Americans the policemen of the world? Well, there's a kind of idea that that's never really changed.
Yeah.
But he wants to get back to that idea that really they hold the standard. They fly the standard of morals and rights and and they should be able to ride in on a fucking, horse.
But then they're also saying we don't want to be involved in any other countries.
When it suits them.
Yeah.
In Africa, American policy should focus on trade, not providing and spreading liberal ideology.
I mean, my God.
Now, one of the inherent contradictions in all of this that I just want to flag up is one of their key things, which I, in principle, don't entirely disagree with. You're right, because there seems a contradiction in what I've just said. On the one hand, they want to police the world. They want to police the world financially. They want it all to be a deal. It's the
colonialism
deal, exactly. But there was a line somewhere in all of this where he said something along the lines of, like you say, in Africa, we don't want to get involved in regime change for regime change's sake, where it's not.
And it's not financially beneficial to him. It's not about not wanting to do regime change. Can't be bothered if it's not going to make him money.
Precisely, and if they're not too much of a threat. But I would like to ask this question: is there room in any of this sort of proposal then to say that there is a strong argument to say that Hamas were elected to run Gaza? So in the instance that Hamas could be elected again, should we lay our hands off that? How do they pick and choose what regimes and what systems they do and don't want to attack or pull down and things like that? Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like they'll turn a blind eye basically to regimes that aren't nice as long as it suits them financially. That's what they're saying. As long as it suits them financially, they don't mind if it's a repressive regime. So really, what do you take from all of that?
I take from that do they want world domination?
What do you all think?
And they want everywhere to be as white as it possibly can be. And I think that it's very scary. And I think, like, Russia loved this. Yeah. Russia approves of this mood board. So what does that mean? Are America and Russia now going to join up?
I saw Lavrov
stomp across the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, Lavrov said, major Russian politician, I forget his exact title.
It's very clever, isn't it?
Yeah, but Lavrov said something along the lines of this: Trump is the only Western leader who understands the nuance and complexities of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. We've talked before here about how actually it is more complicated. Now, in saying it's more complicated, we're not advocating one of two things: that Russia is great and that Ukraine should be fucking bombed and controlled and run. But what we have always said is that there are political forces, American Western political forces, behind Ukraine's expansion into Russia. And I thought Scaramucci made a really interesting point on the Rest is Politics US yesterday, where he said that when George Bush, the first George Bush, was in, and they were striking a deal with Gorbachev and what have you, or was it Reagan? I can't remember. Reagan was president and George Bush was perhaps foreign secretary. When they were striking the deal and they were dismantling the Eastern Bloc, they didn't do it with relish. They didn't do it with a kind of joy.
Yes.
They did it diplomatically.
Yes.
They did it with consideration.
With
and they did it with intelligence and care, knowing that this was a fragile decision for Russia.
And all this showboating on the international stage and whipping up bullying hate is just it's just insane.
Yeah,
it's like lighting tempers and
Yes.
and egos across the world, and we are powerless to it.
So
We
I think
are
there
utterly
are,
powerless.
we are, and I think there are two complicated thoughts in here. I actually step much more towards the idea that the Russia-Ukraine thing is infinitely more complicated than the West wants us, or our government wants us to think it is.
We encroached and encroached and encroached.
Yeah.
There was a deal on how far NATO could come in, wasn't
Yeah,
there? And
exactly.
then, was it Cenk that said from the Young Turks, until eventually we were right by his grandmother's house.
Exactly.
We were sitting next to Putin's grandmother's house.
Yeah.
Because nothing is just one thing, is it?
No, not at all. But I would say, and I said this to Nadia earlier, and I said maybe this is too heavy to share on the live, I do genuinely wonder whether baked into this, because Russia's so delighted with it, is I worry that the superpowers are looking at the end of essentially a global financial system that can no longer sustain itself, and that these are the first movements and machinations of superpowers getting ready to do something or allow something to happen so seismically huge, like in Europe, maybe, that then the two superpowers can then sort of basically, pour over the spoils and sort of divvy them out accordingly. I mean, America's debt burden is becoming so unsustainable. There has to be a cataclysmic event to get them out of what they're entering into. And and then if you start to kind of connect the dots of why is crypto so important to all these far right people? Why is Farage being supported by a major crypto donor? Why is Trump trying to launch crypto coins? Why is Musk, and you start to look at it all and you start to think, hang on a minute, are they creating an alternate financial system because they know the mainstream system is buckling under the weight? And we talked about it a lot recently with Rachel Reeves's budget, and Nadia was you were saying that you were really being sort of drawn into economic stuff.
I didn't realise the power of the banks. So so you can vote in a party, like we could vote in the Greens, but then if the banks don't like,
well, if the financial sector doesn't allow you to govern or make big choices,
I didn't
they'll punish you.
Just how powerful that they are.
Yeah, and it's not like they press a button. But what would happen? So, for example, say everyone voted for Green. Oh, it's all brilliant. This is idyllic. The financial markets would basically punish the country and what we've borrowed and what we owe and everything. Rates would go up, and who would suffer? Anyone who owns a home, anyone who has credit card debt, because interest rates
not just
would go
Greens.
up. No, not just Greens. But
this, don't put people off Greens.
No, don't be put off. This doesn't mean you step away from different alternate political.
It's the same with every party.
But this is the trap we're all in, and I worry that in this statement is an acknowledgement that the world can't carry on in the way that it's carrying on, and I worry about how they're divvying it up behind the scenes. So so there you go.
Let's have a little break and sing happy birthday to Lucy Williams.
Oh, yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lucy Williams. Happy birthday to you. Squashed tomatoes and stew.
I hope you have a lovely day, darling.
Yes.
Okay, so shall we move to Erika Kirk?
Yes. So we've told you before about the I've Had It women. Fantastic commentators, American. Follow them on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. They are fearless. They are smart. They don't give a shit what kind of trouble might be brought to their door by talking straight. And I listen to them every day.
They are great. You've put me on them. They're fantastic.
They're so good. A couple of days ago, Erika Kirk was being interviewed by the New York Times, and the bit that we're going to show you, she was talking about why so many women voted for Mandani, and we're going to have listen to the I've Had It women telling us straight. Off the back of this, also, we want to have a little chat about the similarities in dress wear.
Yes.
But we'll do that afterwards.
Yeah,
we'll show
absolutely.
the picture afterwards. Okay.
And just
to The Handmaid's Tale. What's the character in The Handmaid's Tale?
Serena Joy.
Serena Joy.
I just want to highlight this quote, which I think you'll like, Nats, because there's a piece in The Independent about these podcasters, the hosts of I've Had It. Just a little line here. I've Had It has become known for its fierce rhetoric, which led left-wing political commentator Hassan Piker to describe it as the most radical, progressive podcast in North America.
Wow, they are radical, and they were brought up in the Deep South.
Yeah.
One of them very, very Christian. She's now given up her religion. That's the one on, I don't know what side they'll be on. The one that's talking the most was not. She's an atheist.
Part
They're
of a
great
reality show
friends.
as well,
She
isn't
was in a reality show. She's as smart as anything, isn't she? Both are. And yeah, they are building. They've built very, very fast because they don't pull their
They
punches.
don't mince their words. No,
They don't mince
and
words.
God, is it a deep South thing for our American viewers? Because their ability to just pluck metaphors and analogies of
Eloquence.
such withering destruction.
Please follow them. I've had it.
Okay, so this is quite a long clip, but we're going to play it. And if there's a moment where we feel we want to pause, have a listen. So the context is they're basically talking about Erika Kirk.
So we're going to see first Erika Kirk talking to the New York Times and then their review of her.
Knows geographically when she's not speaking to MAGA that she can't dress like Tammy Faye Baker. It's the different affect of her trying to reach out to female New Yorkers. Play the clip.
What I don't want to have happen is women, young women in the city, look to the government as a solution to put off having a family, a marriage, because you're relying on the government instead of being united with the husband where you can support yourself and your husband can support and you can guys all combine together. But I just find it so ironic and so interesting that a heavy percentage of the individuals that voted for him were female.
It's not that interesting and it's not that ironic at all, Erika Kirk, because you actually allow yourself to be afforded all of the luxuries of all of the civil rights fight that the suffragettes and other women fought for you to be able to be a full-time working mother, to be the CEO of a company. You just weaponize your gender to rubes so that you can grift off of them. And for you to sit there and know enough and to be smart enough that if you were dressed in your lace Tammy Faye Baker outfit with tarantula eyes and, you know, the big bouffant evangelical hair, that you couldn't stroll up to the New York Times and sit down and be taken seriously. Likewise, you know, if you showed up dressed like that to the big Bible thumping Turning Point places and you didn't weaponize, oh, I'm a dingy blonde. I was raised by misogynists. This is my role to look like a bimbo and wrap my hair and wear my big eyelashes. You are an opportunistic grifter who weaponizes your gender to demean women. And you are a walking, talking, breathing example as to why nobody, number one, wants to be a Christian, and number two, wants to be a female hypocrite such as yourself. Your language, your organization makes women less safe all across the board. Your deceased husband was an unrepentant racist and a homophobe. And I think about a woman who was raised in religiously abusive home. They were told they had to submit to their husband and that their only role in life if they went to college, which I believe your husband said, was to get an MRS degree, meaning the Mrs. degree. And then they get in these situations and they are abused, raped, have no escape plan. And so a lot of women have actually read history. And so for you to prance into Manhattan and think you can lecture women who are abundantly aware of the coattails in which we have ridden to be able to be in front of a microphone and to be able to be heard. You're just so divorced from reality, and you need to go back to the Turning Point bubble because nobody's picking up what you're putting down, Erika.
Isn't that brilliant?
Aren't they great? Isn't she great? I mean, just on Erika Kirk, just for a minute. I mean, you know, at the time of Charlie Kirk's assassination and killing, we talked about how, you know, we sort of gave her the space. We showed some clips of her sort of in the aftermath. There was the huge rally that was pulled together with such rapidity and sort of sophistication. You know, and a lot of you guys, a lot of people felt that her, even in her grief, she was performative. But again, you have to give everyone a pass on how they deal with the loss of a partner. But it is very hard to kind of comprehend the transition that has happened and the speed and ease with which this transition has happened from the aftermath of his killing to where she is now, and how she sees no inherent contradiction in what she's saying.
And to sit there and go, what I'm worried about Well,
Yes.
who are you to say that you're worried about the women of the world wanting jobs or to be looked after by the state? Who are you sat there in your multi-million-pound life,
Yeah.
a full-time working mum? And I find her chilling, and I think their summation of her was bang on. Should we just show the photo?
Yeah.
I loved the way
YouTube,
that
yeah.
Jennifer picked up on the fact that she dresses for where she's a going, you know, and she's always the big fake hair and the fake eyelashes when she's
Yes.
talking to the Bible Belt, but smartened up a little bit for New York. But, and this is going quite wild on the internet, there
Yeah.
has been a parallel drawn, and here we go.
So here's Erika Kirk, you know, at that New York Times event. Look at what she's wearing, very specific attire.
So weird.
And then you go over to this Serena Joy from The Handmaid's Tale. You know, and she at that point, or certainly her origin story, is that she's part of the problem in The Handmaid's Tale, this woman. She's part of the...
She stays silent.
Yeah,
she does
yeah,
as she should, doesn't she? But
You
then does
can't-
she not turn against eventually?
Can I just ask, as a woman, and I'm not being gender specific, but we're talking about a woman wearing a particular... That is a very specific choice of clothing, isn't it?
Well,
Is that
that's
something that's...
But
quite-
that's what they're saying, these women, aren't they? She would not dress like that with the Bible Belt, and where she's talking to her true, what is
Right.
it, America?
Yes.
So she's dressed for the New York audience, but
But
she's
what would
still
she be-
spouting the same
Yeah.
unbelievably misogynistic bullshit. She was married to a man that said, go to the degree and get your Mrs. Go to university and get your Mrs. degree
Yes,
on how
but...
to be a great wife.
But again, yes, I suppose what I'm driving at here is what if she is wearing that as some kind of reference, echo, subconscious riffing on a woman's a character
I don't
from
think it's
a
conscious.
dystopian.
I don't think it's. I don't.
Oh,
think,
you think it's accidental?
I think it's in there, deep in there. I don't think she's conscious
But she
of it.
won't
I
have
think
read
she
The
was,
Handmaid's Tale as a promotional piece.
She will be dressing for New York. She was dressing as a power dress woman that is contained, that is able,
Okay, well,
that is educated, that is smart, that is there to tell other women. That's what the vibe is when you wear a cape like that. I mean,
Okay.
it's got capeness to it,
Okay, well, that
a
okay.
superiority to it.
Just want to pause because I feel like I'm in the presence of female
Woman.
genius. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is really interesting. So what you're suggesting, Nat, and I just want to clarify this for anyone who doesn't know what The Handmaid's Tale is, it's an infamous and famous novel by Margaret Atwood. It's recognized as the definitive almost feminist dystopian novel, which presents a world in which women are just used for breeding and it's control and it's just horrendous and it's a horrific sort of prediction of things to come. How the series has evolved is something very different. There's no way someone like Erika Kirk would read it because it's just politically not in her ballpark. B, if she did read it, you couldn't help but know that it's presented as a dystopian novel. So you're saying this is accidental.
No, what I'm saying to you is women do dress for other women.
Yes.
Right? So, but you can get it wrong.
Yes.
So like, you know, Jane Moore and I always know we like each other's jumpers. So we tend to wear jumpers. Like I remember her saying to me once when she was on her way out and her husband said to her, why are you wearing a jumper? She said, oh, I'm meeting Nadia. I know she'll like this jumper.
Right.
Or like you will dress for what you think is a better situation. Men kind of wear more or less the same thing all the time. So I think what she was dressing for, and if you think about this character, she probably won't know this character, but maybe she does, I don't know. Superior.
No, I get that. Yeah.
Above all, contained and a city woman. She can be she can be all things.
Yeah.
But it just happens that mirrors the costume of
And that
the
is
woman
the
who was
remarkable
doing this.
detail.
That is what's fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that is remarkable. So
Yeah.
what we've got here is the fictional representation of what a woman like that would wear in a book, translated into actual attire that we see designed by a costume designer on a film or a series, actually just happens to chime entirely with the psychology of a woman who is involved in exactly the same aggressive
And
politics.
I've had it women didn't pick up on that connection,
no.
but they've picked up on absolutely
Interesting.
what she's doing, that she is she's playing the sides here. She's appealing to
Yeah.
the Bible Belt in one way, and then she thinks by dressing a certain way and just being a lot calm when she speaks that she's going to talk to those Manhattan women, and she's not, because it's stupid what you were saying. It is stupid.
But
and it is, I love the line from Jen, you're making women more unsafe. That's what you're doing.
How? I mean, like a couple of people are saying in the comments here, but they're very popular. I mean, she's her organization, she's got huge support. I mean,
but don't forget, we
what do women think they're getting
the Bible
from this?
Belt is a huge span of America, isn't it? The evangelical community. I mean, I'm only really just starting to find out about it.
I mean, I can't remember who said it. I listened to something.
How extreme it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I also heard someone say recently, we listened to so much stuff, but someone said something along the lines of every successive Republican government in America is about commercializing or commodifying or twisting people's faith towards their own ends. And I think that's what you very much got here. I mean, what is her bigger agenda, though? Because, of course, there's a huge amount of speculation online, on social media and independent news outlets that there is, again, this tie-in, this aspect to it of who was involved with Charlie Kirk's death, where did she come from?
Candace Owens isn't giving up.
What is her
Are any of our
ascent?
Americans here today? Now they're supposed to be here at a different time. They'll watch it on catch up.
MeTube says more people in America are panicking in America because more people are turning to science.
The Christians are panicking, really.
Yeah. Popular with a certain type of person, says Zoe.
What did you think of what she was saying there, girls?
Erika.
Yeah.
I think, but I mean,
I mean, we didn't realize what a voice Charlie Kirk was. We didn't know who he was when he was murdered. And it was the girls, because huge on TikTok, and the girls and all their friends, it was like, oh my God, Charlie Kirk was going around like wildfire. So she's slotted into that vacuum now, hasn't she? So she's going to continue what he's saying and add to it more of the female thing. So it is worrying. It is worrying, spouting out more of this sort of misogyny, holding up the misogyny that we're so worried about online anyway, that's coming from men.
Rachel Thomas says there's a rich history of women being caked up, make-up evangelicals, especially the Bible TV stations coming out of Texas. Tammy Faye Baker, these women are role models to millions.
And there's that cult where they have to, the higher the hair, the higher the morals or something. And the hair
really?
Gets up to here.
So you need a stepladder to reach heaven. I think sometimes, Karis Hall, mezzo soprano, I think sometimes we're all too busy judging what other people are doing, wearing. And we should just think about ourselves and being kind to those around us.
I think we are thinking about ourselves and our daughters and our daughters' daughters.
Yes, she's not being
because
kind.
there is a movement here. She's not being kind to women. She's making women more unsafe. She is holding up and spouting misogynistic values. And I find that scary because that's a great weapon, right? A softly spoken woman who misogynistic men can vicariously put through their thoughts and message other women and young women. She's very beautiful. She's very rich. She's very social media.
Sadly,
yeah. And we have to be mindful of what our young women are taking in by osmosis with soft, sweetly spoken voices. So we are looking to her lack of kindness, I think.
Passive aggressive. I don't want to get into the deep well of conspiracy theories, though. We shouldn't. I don't think one should ever leave the Charlie Kirk story alone, because it's something where something untoward has definitely happened there. Passive aggressive. It's more than a rumor. I think it's fact that Charlie was turning away from Israel.
Yeah,
that would put Talking Point USA at risk financially and reputationally. Where it all begins to become confusing is his death or not. Some feel he might not have died. Some feel obviously there were other states involved. I think Egypt had a plane flight that went in out. There's so much odd stuff around it. We still have all the question marks over the alleged killer. And then we have, of course, the curiosity factor of Erika's ascent, her connection allegedly with Israeli influence and Israeli finance. And it just feels like there's no appetite to kind of really dig into this. And whenever anyone does, such as Candace Owens, she can immediately be characterized as a mad nutter. who's irrationally lost her shit. And I think that's quite worrying. It's not to say that Candace Owens isn't those things, and she hasn't been too much, and isn't monetizing her kind of worries and fears. But I think if we all just step away from asking questions about Charlie Kirk, it will just become it will just fade away. And I just think is there ever a time where one shouldn't be asking probing questions of any of this stuff? I don't think there is. I think one has to.
We wouldn't be human if we didn't ask, if we weren't curious about such things that seem so complicated.
Exactly. I'm just gonna. It's not funny, but it's a kind of Trumpian moment. I played this to Nads, and her jaw fell open. So I want to play it to you. It's another moment from Trump before we move off America.
Stupid people like Marjorie Trader Green, or some people call her Taylor Green. Some people call her Taylor Brown, because green sometimes turns to brown, which is.
Does green sometimes turn to brown?
Yeah, he's talking about when a leaf dies. He's talking about death. Of course it does.
I don't think he's being that poetic.
No, I think he is. I think that sounds quite threatening. Yeah.
But I've watched her say that he spends too much time on foreign. I only have one place in mind. It's the United States.
I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way. Or
Marjorie Taylor, I thought he was talking about turning to shit when he said brown.
No,
I didn't think he was talking about the poetry.
When you think about anything that dies, look out the tree.
Yeah, but
from
you
green
do.
to
I don't
brown,
think Trump thinks about things
or just
turning
gets
from green to brown.
old. You know, it turns the green. You know, I thought he was referring to nature.
Oh, right,
what do you think, guys?
I just thought he was. I thought he was just saying she's turned to shit.
And she is a big grifter. My God, I was watching
what does
the
orange
60
turn to?
Minutes interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the interviewer asked her this tricky question. She turned like she was like, I think you're, and she's so nasty, like that very first time we ever saw her being so rude to that journalist. Yeah. And she was part of the bullying pact of Trump, and now she's feeling it because she's on the outside of it, but she was very much a part of that.
Interesting point here, Michi. Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually more authentic than people realize when she's attacking Trump. Her other persona is the played up one. I also think she's more authentic when she's talking about Epstein. I think around the whole Epstein.
I find her authentic when she talks about Epstein.
Yeah.
I feel like she's got some sort of.
Zoe, I don't think he's that poetic, Nabs. No, I think he was just saying she's turned to shit. Okay, final story, scale of A&E crisis in the UK. Scale of A&E crisis has been laid bare as 1 in 5 patients treated in corridors or waiting rooms. I'll just give you the details on this, and then we're going to pivot to our personal experience. 1 in 5 patients in need of urgent care are being treated in corridors, with some patients waiting 2 days for a bed, according to a new study. Researchers exposed the scale of the A&E crisis, revealing that the shameful practice of corridor care is endemic. The study has been carried out by the Royal College of Emergency Medicine's Trainee Emergency Research Network, and they analysed 5 snapshots taken from 165 A&E departments and revealed that more than 10,000 people were receiving care in escalation areas. Anyone had first-hand experience of this? So
I spoke about this. We did this as a topic on Loose Women, I think on Thursday. This
survey has landed today, by the way.
This was off the back of the ITV news report where they filmed the corridors. Right. And I on Loose Women, I said, well, I was there. I was in an A&E last night, and it was worse than that. I've never seen anything like it. Down one corridor, people all the way along, next. And it was a horror story. Lots of old people, lots of people with dementia just shouting over and over again. The friend of mine who was in there that I went to see, it was like a torture. You know, just these people just screaming, shouting. She was really poorly and she was scared and she had no pillow and she had you can't even call it a blanket. It was just like a holy thing. It was just, and she was cold. Staff were lovely. Again, cannot fault the staff. They were all, everyone I spoke to was lovely and kind and trying their best. The phones were ringing non-stop. There's no chance of anyone picking it up, which we'll come to in a bit. And, you know, on Loose Women, we were saying that this has got to stop. That every 4 years you get a new government in that slags off the previous government. This mess has been going on for decades. They all need to roll up their sleeves, sit together, bipartisan, as they say in America. Jane was saying something about a royal commission, where a royal commission comes in. As long as it is being used as a fucking football going back and forth, let's not forget the lie of Brexit, 350 million a week will come into, it's always being used. And in the middle of that, of these politicians kicking this ball back and forth, are staff that are completely overwhelmed. God knows how they go in every day. God knows. And patients scared and you know, not neglected as such by the people on the ground, but neglected by the system. Another thing we were talking about on Loose Women, because I said to Jane Moore, I said, it was really weird. There was like paramedics stood with the trolley. She said, well, I had exactly the same thing. She'd taken her mum in an ambulance. She got to the hospital and she said to the ambulance guys, okay, great, you know, I'll just stand here for the hours that it's going to be. And they said, no, we can't leave until she's booked in. 6 hours. 6 hours standing there. And that's all. And as Jane Moore said, can they not have an app that goes, oh, they're now booked in? It's
for next of kin or something.
Management of it.
There's something.
Something so wrong with it.
But it seems to have got worse. I seem back in the day when we've all. I mean, it seems to have got worse. I think what you say is really important. Actually, I think there should be more. I think energy and health, possibly an argument re defense, but energy and health, I think, should be removed from party political shenanigans. I feel like those areas or realms, those cornerstones of society, need to always be managed and looked after by cross-party influence. That doesn't mean that each party won't get their influence, but I think through coalition, through collective thinking, through a shared understanding that this is important for the better good of the nation, rather than demonizing, as Wes Streeting did last week, people with mental health, demonizing, you know, doctors who are going on strike. Blame. Always again, for as long as, because different parties are going to blame different people. We've had our own particular experience. I mean, straight after this, I'm heading to hospital. We've been in a variety of hospitals. Nanny Di has been taken ill again. That's where I was last night. And without going into the finer details of it, let me put it this way. I was liaising massively with her care team. I was at her flat. She was not there. There was no correspondence. Trying to get information on where my mum was last night and then this morning, we now do know, and we found out this morning, has been absolutely horrendous and stressful and distressing. That there has been no system and no way, despite being on all of her details as her next of kin. I have still not yet been officially contacted by the system to tell me about my mum. We've had to go through a circuitous route.
I made so many phone calls last night trying to find out where she'd been taken, because Mark went to see her and she wasn't there. But you can't find out. The ambulance service can't tell you. 111 can't tell you. The care team can't tell you. And I was ringing around the hospitals, and
I was driving
an hour each time, just an hour or more, just holding on. Nobody picks up. Of course they don't, because A&E have got no time to pick up. But the only people you can ring is A&E. And you know, eventually I rang the ambulance, spoke to the ambulance service as Mark's running around trying to find. And she actually said to me, it's highly unlikely anyone will pick up that phone. I said, are you saying to me that we've got to drive around all the possible hospitals it could be? And she sort of went, And, you know, I mean, just astonishing.
Yeah.
Astonishing. The system is fucked.
Yeah. When you use 111, you always get sent to A&E eventually. That's my experience, and then you're just sat on the phone for ages. I mean, I bless her again. Her care team. I was been liaising with so many different individuals. All of them worried. All of them. And the weird thing was, her care team that arrived just shortly before I arrived at her flat were themselves none the wiser as to what had happened, when it had happened, where she'd gone.
Imagine not telling the care team.
Yeah.
Age concern. You know, she's got one of these things. If she falls, they said, oh, they used to be able to tell us what had happened, but we call the ambulance, but they can't tell us
Jennifer
anymore what's
Kando,
happened.
we do know, and I'm heading there straight after this. I do know where she is. So
now we do.
Yeah,
just learn.
Yeah. So I'm, again. So we will obviously update you on that. You will have seen her in Vlogmas this week in fine fettle for her situation, chatting, laughing, joshing. In hysteria, but she's in quite a bit of pain, and so she's in the best hands. We understand that and know that. We now know where she is, which we literally found out shortly before this. I just had another call, so I'm heading off there, and we will update you later. But yeah, and just both Nadia and Nadia's had her own experience of hospitals with her friends and her dad, and it's hardcore. It's no one's fault in these in the hospitals.
And what I feel so bad for is that, like, I'm not scared to step forward, always polite, always really empathetic to the situation, but I will advocate. If I'm visiting someone at a hospital and there's like, I will go up and say, oh, I'm sorry, it's just that, and I always think, what if, like my friend, I took a pillow in for her, she's going to spend all night in a trolley without a pillow. What if you've got no one that is there to say, oh, so she's only having a bag of crisps for her dinner. That's what frightens me. We are resourceful. We have lots of people, within our family that can help, that can make phone calls. We've got good friends. And still it was an impossible situation. So if you're struggling a bit with the language, if you're on your own, if you're frightened, if you have dementia, if you have all these things and you've got no one speaking for you, what the hell happens? I don't know. And maybe that's why the paramedics have to stay with them. But just that, for instance, right, there's so many people across the country that would love that volunteer. Why not have volunteers that stand with the people until so we can get the paramedics, it's very well-trained people that we desperately need. Why not get them back in the ambulance? I mean, it's just all these little things that you just go.
Sorry, hi Tori. I know your dad was very ill. It's so hard, and I totally get it. It's like entering another world with no clock when you enter.
That's exactly what it's like.
Exactly. Well, look, guys. For obvious reasons, we're going to head off. Do you want to play a funny?
The
child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone is really sleeping. They will raise their leg.
Isn't that classic? That confused me for a minute.
And this one is just 1 minute.
Turn to the person lying next to you and you say to yourself, oh my God, this is a dreadful mistake. This is not the person I fell in love with. I've been had. That day, says Framo, is the first day of your real marriage. Welcome to humanity. Our partners disappoint us. Our partners, in ways small, I hope, sometimes large, betray us. We marry our unfinished business, even when you're in that space of disillusionment. Remembering that the person you're with is not the enemy, that you live with them, that it's in your interest to do what you can to make things better over and over and over again. That's the opportunity. Belinda and I will sometimes smile and bow, and one or the other will say, I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to work on myself.
Oh,
that's the day your marriage starts.
And I love that. And I think one thing we have said throughout our How to Stay Married is you have to work at marriage. Just because you get married, shouldn't just come easily. But also the important thing is to work on yourself individually too.
Exactly.
Within that.
What if you think of anything in life that's just given totally perfect to you? What does that have longevity, or is there work involved in anything that is meaningful? So I think we'd leave you with that one.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll keep you posted, obviously, as to how things are going. But thank you.
Oh, look, son's a paramedic. I would look. Right, to read that just under there. Who's that? My son's. Maybe it's up a bit. My son's a paramedic.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So I just wanted to read. So they have to do a handover to the doctors. No volunteer will know the info. Yeah, but if they could just give the info, I bet he's so frustrated, right?
The weird thing about that though is no one had the info for ages.
Never
who were
used
all
to
the
have
right
to
people
do
with
that.
the info. So
and there was like Jane stood there with her mum with the info. Crazy.
I'm gonna go and get more info.
Yeah.
All
Lots
right,
of love,
guys.
guys.
Lots of love. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.